Or love the taste of blood. Welcome to the Halloween special, my friends. Please pull up a chair and make yourself comfortable. Grab a drink if you want. We're gonna be here for a minute. And tonight, I'm gonna tell you a scary story about my dearest friend, a story about my favorite horror satire, one that shook the youths to their core back in the day of 2019, going on about white privilege and size 13 Nikes. Tall Girl. Let's do this. I find Tall Girl to be simultaneously frightening as it is hilarious, the same ways that I find Kafka's Metamorphosis frightening and hilarious. No, I will not be elaborating on that. As I've mentioned, the youths have already done a pretty good job at deconstructing, critiquing, mocking, and enjoying Tall Girl in all of its embarrassing glory. I acknowledge that I can't really add much to Tall Girl discourse. I also once was a youth back in 2019, and I also partook in this parade of making fun. I partook in the meme, and on my Instagram story, I filmed myself watching Tall Girl POV style as 10-second clips, and it compiled into a 20-minute Instagram story, and it was basically cackling, inaudible film commentary.
Oh boy, I hate being 6'1". My name is Tall Girl. My life is a living hell. I thought she was in a locker. Gonna put their hands together in the same size. Oh my god, my shitty short friend is ruining my life.
A tall girl, it's the only thing that people see.
When you're a tall girl, it's the only thing that people see.
I acknowledge that a lot has already been said about Tall Girl, and I acknowledge that this video is really just a selfish way for me to bookend this chapter of my psyche. I'm really done talking and thinking about Tall Girl. I don't know if you've noticed, but I myself am a tall girl, and this is my lived experience. This movie was made for, me and for people like me, and that doesn't really happen often. You may have also noticed that this video is part 1, and in part 1 we will be talking about the Tall Girl that Netflix released in 2019, and in part 2, well, you're just gonna have to take a wild fucking guess as to why there is 2 videos to be made about a movie that doesn't have a sequel yet. The working thesis of this video currently is Tall Girl sucks because it's not a satire. You can interpret it as a satire or as a wild adventure into the abyss of white privilege and a full divorce from reality, but the film does not know this. The film thinks it is a coming-of-age story about a very sad, very likable group of characters who are very relatable and live in the real world. Unfortunately, that's not really what happened. Jody the Tall Girl is introduced to us via a library so that we can understand that she is smart, and she sits upon this dollhouse furniture so that we can understand that she is tall. And when this boy shows an interest in Jody up until the point in which she stands is so that we can understand that Jody will never have a boyfriend because boys hate girls who are taller than them, to the point of running away and telling their friend, hey, look at how tall that girl is. This tells us everything that we need to know about the film, which is that it is incredibly unaware of itself. And this is most embodied through our main character here. Jody is kind of an ignorant because the film allows her to be and encourages this in order for the story to progress. Another immediate problem is that it is very difficult to sympathize with Jody because according to Jody, her height is the height of all her problems. It's the reason she's not popular, not pretty, uncool, doesn't have a boyfriend, is bullied, is sad. Tall equals oppression equals sad. Yes. The film really presents Jody as pitiful, or at least somebody who engages in daily self-pity, Part of her journey as a character will be learning to discover self-acceptance, face adversity, and stand tall. Jodie's best friend, Farida, on the other hand, has a bubbly personality. She's fierce, she's bright, she has a real go-getter attitude, and she's ready to protect Jodie from all the "how's the weather up there" jabs that she may receive relentlessly throughout the day. Do I think that it was a purposeful, maybe even a delusional choice to have cast Tall Girl's best friend to be a Black best friend who may deal with some much more complex forms of oppression and discrimination? Yes. Do I think it is interesting that when you Google Tall Girl cast, Farida is way down the line despite her prominence in the film as the protagonist's best friend? Yes. Not the first oopsie we're gonna cover tonight. We are then introduced to Jodie's family, who are, how can I put this lightly? They're kind of mentally abusive. This hat is so tight that I feel like it's pulling my brain out of my skull. Slowly. Tall girl. Jesus Christ. Jodie's father has always been obsessed with his daughter's height. In a flashback scene, we learn that he's so worried about his tall girl that they bring her to a pediatrician to ask how they can stunt their young child's growth because she is, quote, already 4 feet tall. I don't know if that's physically possible. If it is physically possible, very cool. And if it's not, that's hilarious. This is obviously, within the context of the film, supposed to be comedic. And if it were a satire, then I would be laughing. But I'm not laughing, and Jodie's father is being weird and scary, and he needs to stop. He needs to stop. Stop it. Present day tall girl dad likes to talk about tall people dying prematurely at the dinner table and asks Jodie if she's got joint pain. And Jodie's mom responds by lightly scolding and then laughing and talking about how popular and hot she was in high school. And then we meet Jodie's sister. Let's just take a minute from the plot just to quickly talk about Jodie's sister. Some characters in this film just kind of stand out. Not that they don't belong, it's just that I can't figure out as a viewer what they are supposed to represent for the story. Because at first, you think you know, you go, okay, that's Jodie's conventionally attractive sister who is normal height for a girl. She does beauty pageants, she smiles a lot, she's everything Jodie wishes she could become. But then we're kind of thrown for a loop here because Piper acts like a person who is deeply unwell and unhinged and has no sense of identity, and I do not know if I should feel bad for her or if I should pity her or if I should laugh at her. I don't know who Piper is. A sort of C-plot through line in the film is that Piper is training and soon competing for the title of Miss Louisiana, which involves her trying on dresses, practicing her talent. Why is knife throwing an acceptable talent at a beauty pageant? Well, it's because of Girl Boss. I'm trying to figure out what is happening here. Because the film doesn't portray Piper as to be taken seriously. Her hyperfemininity is portrayed as her downfall when you realize that the film's core message is that you must stand tall in your truest self. So there is, you guessed it, a sexism problem with this movie. I find that this lives mostly in the scenes that include Piper. She also has small outbursts of yelling that are supposed to be funny, I think. She also deals with an eating disorder. Does the film handle this with great care and responsibility and awareness that its audience is made up of probably a lot of teenagers who could also be dealing with similar issues? No. Why would the movie do that? No, this is actually great grounds to be making jokes. Let's joke about eating disorders, said the movie, pitched to young girls about girl power. Haha. Back to the plot. Fuck. There's a label under my glass. It's very good. Very good props design. We then learn of Jody's other best friend, who I may refer to as Dunkers, but his real name is Jack Dunkelman.
This is Jack Dunkelman.
And he's a short boy. He's going to remind you that he's shorter than Jody, because just like Tall Girl, short boy can't stop fucking talking about being short, and it sucks. I hate Jack Dunkelman. Maybe I'm biased against shorter men who, for some reason, have a bone to pick with taller women, wanting to date tall men, or wanting to date people in general, and they have specifics in their mind about how that person may look. I fucking had it with Dunkers, y'all. Why do you think you get to have an opinion about who I date? Why does that matter to you? Fucking 5'6". Dunkelman carries such a strong amount of confidence, an overbearing amount of short boy savior complex, and he's just here to berate Jody with, "Hey, are we gonna date yet? I want to date you."
You'll never believe it. He just wants to know when you and I are gonna make magic together. Oh, I would love nothing more than to answer your conundrum. Date a short guy. I know I don't have everything on your perfect boyfriend checklist. I'm taller than you, funny, intelligent, nice, perfect guy. I'll never believe it. He just wants to know when you and I are gonna make magic together. Do something crazy.
Hey, did you know that if you have a baby with another tall person, that baby will probably be coming out cesarean because the baby will be tall? This is a very real piece of dialogue that is in this film. This is a psychological thriller. It's gross, and it gets worse. Why is he carrying a crate?
Why is he carrying his books in a milk crate?
A milk crate around the school with him. It's got a little shoulder strap attached. He's carrying it around instead of a backpack.
In a milk crate.
Well, you're just gonna have to wait and see as to why he is doing this. And I promise you that you're going to be so angry. So while Dunkaroo harasses Jody on a daily basis, asking her if she'll date him, another boy is thrown into the story, and he's tall as fuck. He's from Sweden. He is blonde. The film tells us that he is perfect. He is good at math or chemistry, whatever they're doing here. I never took chemistry. Can you tell? He looks like Jody's brother, and she wants to date him. And so do all the other girls in the school. And here's where I'll mention again the hypocrisy of pitching a teen coming-of-age story about girl power that is festering with weird scenes like this, where girls stare each other down at the lunch table sitting next to the tall boy exchange student named Stig. We're really gonna teach teen girls to go after this guy named Stig? Don't do this. Don't teach them that. I'm kidding. We can't make fun of him yet, because turns out that he's staying with Dunkelman's family for his exchange, and this is where we learn that Dunkers is anti-immigrant.
Mom, you know what? What better way for him to experience what America's all about than for us to take him out of it?
Am I supposed to like anyone in this movie? Tall girl wants to date hot Swedish boy. Hot Swedish boy lives with short boy, who is the funny one, who also loves Jody. And the popular girl gets with hot Swedish boy. And tall girl's black best friend wants one person in her life to give a shit about what's going on with her, and other things happen, like makeover scene and singing at the piano scene. You know, the scene that's in every movie for teens where there's a piano and they sing and it's unbearable. From here, the film slowly derails, and we've entered the beginning of absolute non-reality. If you thought what was happening prior was a little off, or if you thought you were being promised a normal, kind of funny teenage flick, now it's just pedal to the fucking metal nonsense and nightmare shit. Why? Why did I do this? Yum. Why? So after a day of school, Jody returns home to a house full of tall people. And she asks her dad, like, why are there a bunch of tall people in our house, father? And initially her dad says that they're a bunch of old friends. And then it is pointed out to us that each tall person is wearing a hat that says Tip Toppers on it. And then, to our horror, it is revealed to us that Jody's dad has invited a tall person club to have their meeting at their house, and this club has a chairman and a competitive dynamic because I think they vote in said chairman, said like tall president person. And the club is just that they are all tall and they all hang out and they can be invited to people's houses to what? Make somebody's teenage daughter feel better in their tallness to the point of joining their tall cult called the Tip Toppers. And there's a theme song. No, you really don't have to. After her father fails to get her out from hiding in her room, Jody then Googles height reduction surgery because that's how much she hates being tall. That's how much she hates facing adversity. Jody then receives a call from the one and only Swedish hot boy himself, Stig, and he invites her over for a movie. It's a date, I think. So she goes over, but it's Dunkelman's house, remember? Because Stig and Dunkelman are staying together during Stig's exchange. Dunkelman opens the door to Jody and comes his pants. Dunkelman opens the door to Jody and he is taken aback because she is wearing orange lipstick and denim and she looks nice, I guess. And this movie wants you to know that Dunkers is a loser because look at that headset. He's a fucking gamer. Do we have any gamers in the YouTube audience? Do we have any gamers here tonight? You're losers. Let's all laugh at Dunkelman for being a gamer. I'm kidding. Dunkelman also acts completely shocked when Stig enters the frame to welcome Jody into the date area, which is this horrifyingly blue living room lit only by the TV, and it's this very symmetrical framing. It's very off-putting. I don't know why they did this. Dunkers is in fact so annoyed and shocked that Jody and Stig are on a date in his own house that he attempts to sabotage them by eating nacho chips in front of their movie, creating a fucking ruckus, then making salsa in the kitchen with the blender. Then Stig, since he's Swedish and nice, decides to invite Dunkers over to watch their movie, and Dunkers sits in between them, oh, it's cozy time, and spends what I'm assuming the film wants us to assume, the rest of the movie staring at Jody from a spot on her shoulder like a bird. Just like this. It's a nightmare. Jody kisses the Swede on the train home. She feels conflicted because he has Popular Girl as a girlfriend already, meaning he basically cheated on her with Jody. She shares these concerns with her sister, but not before her sister can creepily stand in the stairway. Like, how long was she waiting for Jody to come back home from her date? Was she waiting there all night? Why is there an orb in their living room that lights up? What is that all about? Does Piper have an opinion about the Tip Toppers Club having a party at their house only 3 hours prior? Who else is home right now? Why does the house look abandoned? Is Piper a ghost? Does she haunt the halls of her former home dressed as the knife-throwing pageant girl she once was?
Why do you always have to gaze out the window when you're talking to me?
I'm also wondering this. In their bunk bed, Stig confesses to Dunkers that he cheated on his girlfriend with Jody and tells him of the kiss, and this brings Dunkers to an immediate silent rage, in which he covers his face with a pillow and then reveals that he is instantly crying. I kind of asked this question in every video I've done so far, but I will ask it again. Are the boys doing okay? Are y'all okay? The next day, Jody is now considered to have a newfound confidence and continues to wear orange lipstick, and the popular Mean Kid table debates whether or not she is still ugly or hot now. The Swede lies to his girlfriend about why he wasn't answering his phone last night and then promptly invites Dunkers to their lunch table. But you see, Dunkers is a gamer and he's not a popular kid. And if he sits with the popular kids, this is a disruption of the status quo. And Dunkers knows that you should stick to the stuff you know. Stig doesn't know that. He just wants to eat lunch with his friends. So Dunkers sits with the cool kids, impresses them with his Gordon Ramsay impressions.
I mean, none could make better sushi than this, and she's blind!
Oh, no!
And now Jody feels abandoned because no boys are paying attention to her, not even the short ones. And he's still carrying that crate around. Liz, one of the popular girls, bonds with Dunkers over being celiac, gives him her gluten-free cookies, and then leaves. This scene exists so that we can understand that Dunkers may move on to Liz. This poses a threat to Jody somehow, and these teens, despite not being 6'1", also face adversity because they are forced to eat gluten-free cookies instead of cookies with gluten in them. Dunkers and Jody start bickering over this. Dunkers starts biking away, but not fast enough.
He did say something. What did he say?
I don't know.
Excuse me, I'm talking to you.
I'm actually not sure if I can talk about the crate right now. Like, I'll mention it when I absolutely have to. But not right now, if that's okay. Thanks. The popular girl, the one who is still dating Stig, her name is Kimmy, and she invites Jody to a escape room night because her friend Schnipper, everyone in this fucking movie has weird nicknames. Schnipper is interested in her, and Tall Girl and her best friend have an argument, and this all happens whilst an outdoor marching band plays the same melody for 5 minutes straight, and it is, how do I put this? It is overwhelming. So on a quadruple date, they go to an escape room that looks like somebody's bed and breakfast, where there is time and room to take pause and make out and side-eye each other because everyone wishes they weren't making out with the person they're making out with. And then at the end, Tall Girl gets overwhelmed and she's like, I have to leave. And the scene ends very abruptly because it's an escape room and every door she tries is like locked or it's fake and she can't leave. I'm mentioning this because the scene ends, so you don't get to find out when and if Jody escapes, if she escapes on her own, if they're there for another 5 hours or 2 minutes. You don't know. The scene, they were done writing it. Obviously, Jody is very emotionally confused, and so is Stig, which is why later he says he's breaking up with Kimmy to be with Tall Girl. And then they're gonna go on a date to Piper's pageant, and then he's gonna ask her to homecoming. This is a plot thickens. Oh no.
Ms. Harper Kramer, everyone.
Harper. Her name is Harper, and not, as previously stated, Piper. Fuck.
World a better place is by using my hotel management skills, which is all about meeting and exceeding guest expectations. Now, wouldn't it be great if we could meet and exceed guest expectations in the ongoing Middle East conflict?
Oh, no. No. Harper wins the beauty pageant. Jody has officially been stood up. Her father tells everyone on the drive home that he is going to run the Swede boy over with his car, and then he almost crashes the car. Dunkers is hosting the homecoming party. Jody confronts Stig and realizes that he never planned on dumping Kimmy for her. Dunkers tells Liz that he can't go to homecoming with her because he is in love with someone else. Jody runs home. Her father tells her that he loves her, and then they play piano like this. The next morning, Dunkers is shown sneaking into Jody's room, sitting on her bed while she sleeps, attempting to touch her hair and face, but not for too long because Jody awakes in a panic and slaps him away. They always try to represent men in film, you know, touching a woman's face while she sleeps or caressing her hair, as if it is somehow, in any capacity, romantic. I don't know about you, but somebody touching my face while I am asleep is deeply frightening. Do not glide your fingers upon my face while I am sleeping. I'm gonna think it's a spider and freak out. And then when it's not a spider and it's Dunkelman, well, I'm gonna fucking wish it was a spider. I'm gonna crush that tiny man under my heel. Is that too much? Dunkers also has a black eye. Don't worry, we'll talk about it. And he gifts Jody a pair of platform heels that he got from a drag queen store. Although Jody says that she will never wear them, Dunkers tells her that she might want to wear them one day when a nice, taller than her boy asks her out on a date, and he starts listing off all these nice things that Jody is and how this boy will love her for her personality. Isn't that nice of Dunkers? Look at all the nice things that he's noticed about Jody. Too bad you're too short for her. Jody's bedroom has a sunroom. So later that night, Liz sends Jody a video that she took on her phone and also apparently edited because there are cuts in this video, and it's a video of the party. Stig confesses that he meant to stand up Jody and lied to her, and then Dunkers throws his crate at Stig, defends Jody, and then gets punched in the face and also tackled to the ground. It's very funny. It's homecoming. Stig and Kimmy are crowned the king and queen of Cloudland by Harper. I don't know why it's cloud themed. I don't know why Harper is there because she graduated high school. You can also tell that there isn't music playing on set because all the extras are dancing to a different tempo than what is actually playing. Stig breaks up with Kimmy, and then Jody arrives, standing 9 feet tall above all of these fucking peasants.
She looks like she's 10 feet tall.
She takes the stage. She gives a speech to like all of these students who don't give a shit about her. It's very tragic when you really think about it. Her speech is about being Godzilla, and then she gets a standing ovation. She makes up with her best friend in less than a minute. Stig asks for her back. She says no, and then she walks all the way to Dunkelman's house. Oh, God. No. Oh, God. Why does he have the crate with him? What's the crate for?
Oh no. Do you carry a milk crate around? What?
No, we can't.
And I wanted to be ready.
We can't.
Ready for
We're
what?
not.
Why would
No.
that be
What's the crate for?
you would
Oh, God.
milk crate's 6 feet tall. So I can make out with you. Horrendous.
I don't want to deny Jodie's pain. I also don't want to deny any teenager of the pain they may be feeling, whether that has to do with self-image, with bullying, with school, or just with life. This is a story about underdogs and about accepting the things that you cannot change about yourself to an extent. We could really do without the sexism, the eating disorder jokes, and the ignorance, but nonetheless, Tall Girl is a movie that exists. And they tried really hard to make a movie for people like Jodie. I do find it interesting that the actor who portrays Jodie, Ava Michelle, often speaks of her own experience of being bullied for her height. Whether or not this was a marketing tactic for the film so that the character of Jodie could feel more real, meaning Ava Michelle was directly told to speak of her own tall-shaming experiences in interviews, doesn't really matter. Ava Michelle is a former dancer and starred in the reality show Dance Moms. In this show, she is framed as the tall one and would often receive relentless verbal abuse from the head of the dance company, Abby Lee Miller. A reality show is still not the real world, but Ava Michelle was still shamed for her height on a TV show by an adult. If it was scripted and planned that Abby Lee Miller would bully a tall child for dramatic reality TV points is almost just as bad as if she was genuinely resentful of Ava Michelle's height. Is this experience specific? Yes. Is it also maybe important to have discussions about the spaces in which body shaming still exists and is almost naturalized? Yes. And a dance studio can sometimes be that space. Would I have liked to see a teen coming of age story about the ways body shaming festers in specific social spaces rather than a movie about a teenager who wants height reduction surgery and thinks they are unworthy of a boyfriend and faces nonstop "how's the weather up there" comments? Yeah, I would have preferred that. I'm not saying that they should have made Ava Michelle's life the movie, and I don't think they should pretend that the experience represented on screen is a realistic encounter with a tall teenage girl. I really made her sound like a fucking cryptid in the last bit there, hey? Hey, well, welcome to the fucking cryptid club. There's nothing wrong with that. Time to eat all this candy. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Happy Halloween. Stay safe. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye, children. So I had to go to Valley Village to buy supplies for the costume. And the lovely cashier looks at my stuff and she's like, "Are you being something for Halloween?" And I was like, "Yeah." And bless her soul, she goes, "What are you being?" And I took a true beat, the truest of solemn pauses, like the most deepest silence in my whole life as I looked to the pearls, the gloves, the hat, and I looked at her and I looked at the shit I was buying, and then I looked at her and I said, "It's from a video game." And then she asked me no more questions, and I finished paying. And then that was it.